Good morning. Good morning. It may seem like my voice is a little deeper, but it's all due to me not feeling well. I have a cold or a combination of that flu bug that's been going around. I've got a nagging cough that isn't very productive, so I apologize in advance if I start to cough. But I really didn't feel like coming in this morning and doing a show. But I know I have loyal listeners out there. Not a lot of you. Speaking of that, we're on three platforms. We're on YouTube, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify Podcast, and really, I'd encourage you to um, listen to the show first, like it if you like it, um, and follow us and share us. Tell a friend about us, and maybe they'll get something out of this. Maybe they'll save a little money. But or we talk about safety sometimes, so maybe we can save someone from being hurt and perhaps burned. So today is going to be less about savings and more about just practical stuff. I want to get to know our listeners a little better, and I want you to get to know me a little better. But back to this very unproductive cough, and I think I've had some fever, but it's been nagging. It's been 3 days probably. My wife has the same thing, and but I've tried putting Vicks on my chest and putting some around my nostrils. If you don't have Vicks, mentholatum works, but it hasn't been much help really. Um, but in reality, it does give me some comfort, and I say that because it reminds me of my mom and her taking care of me when I was a sick little boy. And she used to think that Vicks was a cure-all. She might have been right in some aspects. She even had me put it on my feet and put socks on over the Vicks before going to bed. But again, it gave me some comfort. So I do that kind of thing to this day. So Vicks for us was a home remedy, and we had a few others. We had a very airy house growing up. We had one central gas fired furnace that was not even properly vented. It didn't even have a pipe on it. So we're probably all lucky that we didn't get carbon monoxide poisoning. I think the only reason, well, the good Lord watched out for us, for one thing. But two, our house was so airy. We had a lot of drafts in the house, and just didn't have really the means to fix a lot of it. And that was reality for us. And I remember one Sunday morning we're just freezing inside the house. As a matter of fact, when we went to bed at night and early in the morning, you could actually see your breath in the house. So that's how cold it was. But I remember one Sunday morning, and we all did this. We'd get out of the bath. We had 5 boys in there and 2 parents, and I was the youngest, so I was the baby that might have accidentally been thrown out with the bathwater. Fortunately, I wasn't. But I'd run into the living room, and I had my towel around me Sunday morning. We were getting ready for church, and I dropped my towel down around my ankles, and I bent over and I burnt my rear end on that darn gas stove. So you could play, it had like a grid on my backside. But we had a home remedy for that too. I can't remember what that was, but hey, if you've got a home remedy, share it with us, and I might talk about it on Morning Buzz with the Energy Guy. But share it on Facebook Messenger with me. So if you've got a home remedy for a cold or flu that I'm not going to mention here in a moment, maybe I'm going to go over a few of these. So that's what I said. We're going to talk about what's going on right now. There's a lot of this cold and flu going around. So I thought I might talk about some home remedies. Old home remedies, for coughs and colds focus on soothing symptoms with natural ingredients like honey, ginger, and warm liquids while using moisture from steam or humidifiers to ease congestion alongside traditional practices like saltwater gargles. We did a lot of that for sore throats. Key remedies include honey. And of course, you never want to give honey to infants under 1 year old. Hot teas, broth, saline rinses, and rest. Plenty of rest, with many relying on hydration and comforting warmth. So, and then you got to throw Vicks in there too, or mentholate them. Soothe coughs and sore throats. Honey, a teaspoon can coat the throat and calm coughs, but never give to children under 1 due to, of all things, a botulism risk. Saltwater gargle. Dissolve 1/4 or 1/2 teaspoon of salt in 8 ounces of warm water and to relieve a sore throat. And you got to gargle several times with 8 ounces. And it says warm, but I think the hotter the better. The hotter you can stand, the better. Because if it burns your throat, it's gonna help relieve some of that pain. Herbal teas. Sip warm teas made with ginger, peppermint, or marshmallow root for their soothing properties. Ginger. Ginger can relax airway muscles. Simmer slices in hot water for tea or mix with honey. Relieve congestion. Steam. Inhaling steam from a warm shower or a bowl of hot water with or without essential oils like peppermint helps loosen mucus. If you can get that mucus off your throat, it can relieve some pain. Humidifier. A cool mist humidifier adds moisture to the air, soothing dry airways. Neti pot or saline rinse. Rinsing nasal passages with a saltwater solution helps clear irritants and mucus. Chicken broth. Chicken soup. Warm liquids hydrate and can increase mucus flow, easing stuffiness. One other remedy my mom had for us when we were kids, and I told my wife about it, and she's done the same thing for me and the kids through their growing up years. But towards the end of your cold or flu, there's nothing better than hot tomato soup and a grilled cheese sandwich. Can I get an amen on that? General care. Rest. Give your body time to heal. That is so important. Fluids. Drink plenty of water, juice, and broth to stay hydrated and thin mucus. Avoid caffeine and alcohol. Traditional and other remedies. Here's a couple. This one's weird. I've heard of it. Onion. Cutting an onion and placing it nearby is an old remedy believed to help with coughs. So if you have a nightstand next to your bed, cut an onion in half, and I'm guessing place it the cut side up, and it's supposed to help with a cough. If you get hungry during the night, maybe you take a bite of it. Mustard plaster. Had never heard of this before. Traditional Victorian remedy. That's probably why. It's pretty old. Of ground mustard mixed with warm water applied to the chest. So I guess you make a paste. A mustard plaster. Hey, again, if you have any home remedies that I might not have covered here, send them to us on Facebook Messenger. Morning Buzz with the Energy Guys. So the weather is getting cold. And we are about 2 weeks away, probably, from the coldest part of winter, 2 or 3 weeks. Usually that's the last week in January and the first week in February. Typically, historically, if you look at the records, those are where we get our lowest temperatures. Sometimes single digits with wind chills well below zero, and sometimes our temperature is sub-zero. So, you got to prepare your house for that, right? Especially if you got older houses that are maybe they're not. Maybe there's a faucet or outside spigot or something that typically freezes when the weather gets cold, and normally those will start freezing about 15 degrees, and particularly if some wind chill. But we're going to go over a little bit of the show today, talking about how to prepare your home for freezing temperatures. To prepare your home for freezing temperatures, focus on insulating vulnerable areas, maintaining consistent indoor heat, and ensuring you can respond quickly to emergencies. It's 11 and a half minutes after the hour. This show may be a little shorter just because I feel terrible. But bear with me. We've got some pretty good stuff today. I did get a question from a listener, Rachel. I'll go ahead and give you her name right now because I was excited about it, and it's a great question. But let's get back to this. Immediate action checklist for preparing your home for freezing temperatures. Insulate exposed pipes. Use pipe sleeves. You've seen them, those black things that look like the little pool floaters. I forget what they call those. There's a slit in them. They're about 3 inches, maybe 2.5, 2 3/4 inches in diameter. And then the hole in the center is probably 1.5 inches in diameter. But you can put those pipe sleeves on pipes or heat tape on pipes in unheated areas like attics, basements, crawl spaces, and garages. In an emergency, wrap them with an old blanket or towels. Manage outdoor faucets. Disconnect and drain all garden hoses. That's important. Install insulated faucet covers. Those help, especially with the wind chill, or wrap spigots in rags and plastic. And there's another really cool little thing out on the market now, and I'm going to put it on our Facebook page, Morning Buzz with Energy Guys. I'll put a picture of it up, but you can find it at most hardware stores or farm and ranch stores. It's called the Freeze Miser, I believe is the name of it. But it's pretty cool. You screw it on your spigot, okay? And then you turn your spigot on all the way on. And it won't drip until it hits like 30 degrees. Then it'll start dripping, and that dripping will help keep the pipes from freezing. So they're pretty cool. I'll put a picture of those on. They're quite expensive, but they work, and they last. I've used them, and they last 2 or 3 seasons, and then they have to be replaced. But they have really helped me out in a pinch. Open cabinet doors. Keep kitchen and bathroom cabinet doors open to allow warm air to circulate around pipes, especially those on exterior walls. Let faucets drip, and that's what we're talking about with a miser. During extreme cold, leave a slow drip of both hot and cold water from the faucet furthest from the main water valve. Seal drafts. Check for air leaks around windows, doors, and where cables enter your home, cables or plumbing. Use caulk, weather stripping, or spray foam insulation to seal these gaps. And particularly these older homes, like farm homes, and there's a lot of farm homes that we serve, Farmers Electric. As a matter of fact, I live in one. Mine's 79 years old, going on 80 years next year. And I've had to deal with these things. So a lot of this is firsthand knowledge. Temperature and heating management. Set thermostat minimums. Keep your heat at a minimum of 55 degrees or 60 degrees. Now that's cold if you're in it. I mean, I would never ask anybody to do that but that would be typically if you're away from the house and you don't want your pipes to freeze. Say you've got a second home. Maybe someone lives in Clovis and they've got a lake house at Fort Sumner or Logan. Or like us, we've got a second home in Las Vegas, New Mexico. And, those temperatures can get pretty cold. So we always leave our thermostat at 60 degrees there. We also open the cabinets in the kitchen and the bathrooms, and I will put a space heater there, but I'll turn it down real low, and it only comes on occasionally, so I don't get these outrageous electric bills. Close garage doors. Keep attached garage doors shut to protect pipes in shared walls. Check HVAC maintenance. Ensure furnace filters are clean and batteries in your thermostat are fresh to prevent heating failure. Reverse ceiling fans. Run fans clockwise on a low setting to push the warm air trapped at the ceiling back down into the room. And what it'll do is it'll pull that heated air that's up through the middle of your room and across the ceiling and down the walls. And you want to run it on low. You don't want to run it on high in the winter, because you really don't want to create a draft, an uncomfortable draft. In the summertime, you do want the draft, because it's like like any other fan, particularly if you've been outside and it's warm and you come in and maybe you sweat a little bit, maybe you're mowing the yard or whatever, and when that cool air from the fan hits you, it's like evaporative cooling. It'll cool you off quickly. But in the wintertime, you really want to push that heated air, conditioned air, that heat rises, if you remember. You want to push that down. Emergency readiness. Locate the main shutoff valve. Ensure everyone in the house knows where the main water valve is and how to turn it off clockwise if your pipes burst or a pipe burst. You've got to turn that main valve off. Some of them are ball valves, so they're like 90 degrees. Some of them are just regular twist type valves that you turn clockwise until it gets tight. Test your valve. Verify the valve turns easily. If it is stuck, call a plumber before the freeze hits. Identify water meter access. If you cannot use your internal shutoff, locate your water meter. And you usually have to have a water meter key for that. And that would be a 90-degree turn as well. But if you've got a well house, then you've got a valve in there, and they are typically a ball valve. Know where that is. Make sure it's operational. So those are some things that I would suggest you start thinking about, because we're going to get into some of those temperatures in the next couple of weeks, is my guess. If it's a typical winter, we will. Anyway. I'm not going to do the this day in history. I didn't even look at it. I didn't look anything up just because I feel so yucky, But hey, I knew you guys would be expecting something, so I'm here. I want to be consistent. So I did get a question, and it's a good one. Real good one from Rachel. And she sent a message on Messenger to our Facebook page, and you all know what that is, right? Morning Buzz with the Energy Guy. Who needs coffee when you have Morning Buzz with the Energy Guy? And remember, Morning Buzz with the Energy Guy is the only podcast awarded the prestigious Energy Star label. Something we're really proud of. But Rachel says, "Hey, Energy Guy, my pad-mounted transformer, that green box near my house, is ugly." Okay. It might be ugly, but hey, it serves its purpose, right? Rachel said, "I was wondering if I could plant some flowers and shrubs around it this spring." Thanks, Rachel. Great question, and I'm glad you're asking. The short answer is no. Don't do it. Causes us problems. The long answer is this, and I understand beautification. Heck, before I started working in the electric industry, I thought they were kind of ugly too. Well, I didn't even know what they were. But keep in mind that you start digging around one of these things, and there is high voltage electricity in cables, lines, wire running to those up through the bottom of them. And when I say high voltage, I'm talking about, in our area anyway, 14,400 volts. You think 120 volts in an outlet is dangerous? And it can be. It can certainly be. Can you imagine 14,400? So the long answer, giving you the short answer, here's the long answer. If your home is served by underground electric wires, you may be tempted to plant flowers or shrubs to disguise the transformer cabinet on your property. Please don't do it. Line crews need easy access to those cabinets to perform routine maintenance and repairs. Shrubs, trees, and flower beds can block access, and after utility work is done, you probably will be unhappy about the condition of your plants, Rachel. And again, Rachel, I appreciate you sending this in. And I don't, the only dumb question is one that goes unasked. So this is not a dumb question by any means. I think it's great. We do run into this when we are out, and our crews are out and about, and they build fences around these to disguise them or to cover them up. They're eyesores. The shrubs, the flowers, the rose bushes, you name it. But it is dangerous to plant or work close to transformer cabinets. They contain, again, high voltage lines. Please avoid the cabinets at all times and teach children to stay away from them too. Children are so tempted to climb all over these, and they could become energized. So the best thing to do is just stay clear of them and teach your kids that. Only trained personnel are qualified to work around these cabinets. Additionally, when not being serviced by our line crews, these cabinets should be padlocked. If you ever notice a cabinet missing a lock or a lock that's not fully engaged, keep everyone safe, a safe distance away, and call Farmers Electric immediately or whoever your electric provider may be. I dropped my kids off. All three of them were at Mesa Elementary School here in Clovis. My daughter was in the 6th grade. My middle son was in the 4th grade. And my youngest son was in the 1st grade. So I dropped him off right before work. And I just thought the cabinet on a lid looked strange on one of the transformers. So I went over to it, and sure enough, the padlock was not in place, and there's also a special head bolt on it. I forget what they call that, but it was not fully engaged, and the lid was teetering a little bit. So I thought, this is very dangerous. So fortunately, I had the number for the Xcel Energy foreman in my phone, and I gave them a call, and they came out lickety-split and fixed it. But that could have been, an accident just waiting to happen. So I'm glad that I was the one that saw it and was able to report it. And I do commend Xcel Energy for coming out as quickly as they did. But ladies and gentlemen, that is about it. I'm going to try to go home, put some Vicks on my chest, maybe put a little around my nose, put some on my feet, and I think I'm going back to bed. I don't know about. I don't want you guys to go to bed. I want you to listen to the show. Of course, I could put you to sleep by listening to it. Hopefully not. But I will see you next week. This has been episode 30 of Morning Buzz with Energy Guys. See you next week.